is Robert Monroe. I kind of backed myself in the corner a little bit. So I packed up my full-size keyboard for a gig. I know, a gig in 2020. Who would have thought? And I decided instead of resetting it back up again in my studio, I would leave it packed up for two reasons. One is there's gigs again. I mean, there's not that many, but they exist. And then the second one is I am in the process of getting ready to move to our first house, actually, which is super awesome. It is probably way too early to be up. You might hear a lot of birds going on outside. They like to wake up at like 3 in the morning, which is kind of annoying, but whatever, it's good for them. And it gives me some quiet time to be able to make videos and have time before the kids wake up. So anyway, with all that out of the way, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, first of all, where I'm at, this corner I'm talking about, and then about getting out and gigging again. So first, when I say I backed myself in a corner, I mean, it's easy for me to set up a keyboard and play and not talk and not engage and not be personal. And here's the reason why. I, like most musicians, prefer to hide behind my instrument. Especially piano players. I think we got such a big instrument. It's like, yep, let me put my keyboard here and I'm gonna be over here and you listen to me and I don't have to talk to you. And so this is something that I've been trying to work on getting over because I think that there's a lot of value to this. Even if it's not necessarily as popular, I need to speak out and I need to say what I'm thinking. And so this is a great platform for that. Thank you for being there. If you like this type of content, go ahead and just comment and share and like and subscribe. That is the easiest way for me to see, okay, you guys like this, I will make more videos like this. And if you like performance videos, go ahead and be like, hey, this was fun, but, make sure to get those performance videos going. I definitely have some ideas on how to do that, even in the midst of moving. Anyway, getting us to the point of the video today, I want to talk about opening up for gigs. And everyone's got different ideas. Everyone's got different theories. Everyone's a little worried, if they're being honest, one way or another. And this is what I would say. So I got a gig offer. It was to play for a dinner party for a country club that's not that far away from me. It just came kind of out of the blue. And the first thing that I was looking at, and the first thing I'd say for you to look at, is what are they doing for safety and well-being. And the main thing that I think you need to be aware of is whether the event's going to be inside or outside. This event was actually contingent on being outside. They had no indoor location. That'll come up in a little bit. And the other thing is to make sure that you can maintain a safe level of distance. So if you're performing by yourself, just that you're far apart. If you're performing with others, that the performance space is big enough that you actually can have some level of distance while still being able to have a cohesive sound. So this fit both the bills, and so it was like, okay, I have to go out and pay the bills, so I need to go out and do this gig. And so that all worked out. Now, I just wanted to throw in a few thoughts on what I think you kind of have to get used to and what I think you just need to be aware of going into gigging in 2020. The first thing is all of the politeness and the formality and the just general niceness still exists, but it's different. And what I mean by that is you're not going to be tapping people on the shoulder. You're not going to be shaking everybody's hands. You're probably not going to meet everybody the same way that you would in a regular gig setting. You're going to get in. You're going to set up where you need to set up. You're going to talk to who you need to talk to. You're going to be very friendly, but it's going to be a little awkward. I know it was, especially when I met the event coordinator and my contact on site. It was definitely a little bit like, hey, I would shake your hand. Oh, yep, we're on the same page. So besides that, Everything else pretty much goes about how you expect it. But I would just say be reasonable and gracious in the context of a contract and professionalism. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is you should have a contract in place with specific guidelines on when you start, when you have breaks, whether you get fed, what does overtime look like, what does cancellation look like, but you need to be willing to be flexible now more than ever. I think the whole paradigm of gigging has shifted right now, where, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, musicians and performers were kind of top dog. And what do I mean by that? The venues and the events needed us more than we needed them. And we can argue about that in a later video if you feel differently. Actually, I'd love for you to comment if you feel differently before all this happened about musicians being actually top dog. Anyway, nowadays, that's not the case. These venues and these events, they really want to start happening, and they're in a place where they're not capable of the resources that they had before this, and they're just probably going to just pull entertainment if you can't come to an agreement, because everybody understands right now. Nobody's going to be like, well, I really wanted to go out to this thing, but there's no musician there, so it's not the thing anymore. Well, it's going to be the only game in town because very few things are open right now, at least where I'm at. So basically, what that means is you need to be gracious, you need to be flexible. Well, it started with the contract. The contract had an agreement. It wasn't prepared by me, it's prepared by some other guy, but he's totally reasonable, totally made sense. Had an agreement that if the gig was canceled 2 hours ahead of time, I wouldn't get paid anything. That sounds ridiculous. That sounds atrocious. But think about it. The events outside, rain at this time of year can just pop out of the blue, and they're at a very high risk right now for any level of cancellation or any change and fluctuation. So they need to protect themselves so they're around to hire me again later. So I totally get it. I'm just sitting at my house anyway right now. So that made perfect sense. The second big thing was when I was sitting there, finally ready to play, just chilling before I play, maybe 40 minutes before I actually am supposed to start playing in the contract. I was approached and said, hey, the event, there's less people coming. Most of them are already here. Can we get going? And generally I would have been like, okay, well, that moves up our contract time. Let me contact my contact to make sure that's okay. But again, it was just like, sure, fine. Like, this is what we're doing. This is where we're at. Great. And sure enough, I played. Well, it was only me, so I played. And basically went through the time, and we ended early, actually, because it got really cold outside and everybody wanted to go back home. And the other thing that ended up happening is I didn't really take very many breaks. Now, I'm not a huge fan of breaks to begin with. It just kind of divides up the time, and you just sort of are sitting there watching your clock as the break goes by. But the other reason I didn't take a lot of breaks is it's just like, look, we're out. We're doing this. We're gigging. So to me, it was a little bit my gift to them of my extra time, just to show appreciation that we have gigs again and that we're able to do this. Again, use your judgment. This is not saying that you need to have people, abuse your time or work you harder than you need to be worked. It's just, again, set reasonable professional expectations. Have paperwork, contract in place, but be flexible, be gracious. That's really, at the end of the day, I think what we can do. Everybody's going to have different comfort levels. Everybody's going to have different priorities, and we just need to be understanding and listening. So that's my 2 cents. I'm really curious. Have any of the rest of you been able to get out and get some gigs happening? Let me know. I'd love to hear some stories. And hope you guys are all well and hope to catch you next time. I'm actually, again, going to be doing a few more of these talking videos just in the meantime. So definitely let me know what you think. All right. Peace out, everybody.